Hi, this is Tom McCubbin. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning, June the 3rd, 2009. Janis and Randy and me are up in Oak Harbor, Washington, and we're about to go visit our aunt, Mary Louise Cooper, who lives here in Oak Harbor. She is a McCubbin family genealogist, and she has agreed to meet with us this morning and share with us some of the McCubbin family history. So we had a lovely drive up here this morning from Bothell, Washington, across the ferry boat onto the island, and we're in downtown Oak Harbor right now. And Janis, why don't you go ahead and pan around a little bit and show them what Oak Harbor looks like, because it is a very pretty place. I see an island out there and a little boat harbor. It's a warm, sunny day. It looks like it's going to be 80+ degrees today in Oak Harbor, and you know, it's a very nice, pleasant place to live, I think. Looks like it would be a wonderful place to live. Okay, and just let me know when you're ready to shoot.
I'm shooting.
Okay, and this is Oak Harbor, and as you can see, there's a big beautiful bay out here, and we've never been here before, so we don't really know what to expect. But over here is a beautiful little boat harbor. It's a bright sunny day. It looks like it's going to be 80 degrees here today in Oak Harbor. And we're getting ready to hop in the car now and go visit Mary Lou. Hi, so this is June the 3rd, 2009, and we're at Mary Lou Cooper's house on Oak Harbor, Washington, on Whidbey Island, and we have Janis Schneider here and Mary Lou this morning, and behind me is Janis' husband Randy Schneider, and this is Tom McCubbin, and Janis is going to have a little conversation this morning with Mary Lou. And so Janis, why don't you go ahead and start.
Well, I got to know Mary Lou from being Dad's cousin, Chester McCubbin's first cousin, and so she and I have been sharing Christmas cards, and we really wanted to get to know each other and find out a little bit more about the McCubbin family, because she was a relative of Chester McCubbin's down in the Ozarks. And so we're just here this morning just to ask her what her relationship to the McCubbins is. Maybe she could explain that, what her relationship to the McCubbin family is.
Okay.
Okay, I'm related to you all through my mother, Nellie Florence McCubbin, who married a Kansas farmer at Ness City, Kansas. Friends there of Harry Shimon had told Harry about a beautiful Missouri girl that he ought to go and go check on her, because he thinks that my father would like her. So Father made the trip to Cross Timbers, Missouri, and had several visits together before he finally convinced her to come to the prairies of Kansas and leave the beautiful trees and squirrels of Missouri. And she did, and they were married. And there are photos of their wedding picture around here somewhere.
Wow.
So
now did she have memories of what it was like back in? Did she tell you stories of what it was like back in the Ozarks, back in Cross Timbers?
Back in the olden days?
Yeah. Did she have memories about it?
Yes, there are a lot. She has talked about several of them. You know, boyfriends, and Gus Sally, that she wished she had married him. She never forgot him all her life. And yet Harry was a good father and a good husband and provided very well for us. Ended up with 8 children at Ness City, Kansas. And then my father died in 1938, and there was a Bybee cousin living in Fort Scott, Kansas. And my mother preferred to be around her McCubbin family rather than the Shimon family, which was my father's side of the family. So in 1939, after my father died in 1938, in 1939, somebody helped us move to Fort Scott, and I don't remember the details of how we got there or who helped us get there other than the Bybees, Jewel and Roy Bybee. and their son William and daughter Juanita Bybee. But anyway, we got to Fort Scott, and they helped us get settled, and it was strange and different for us kids, you know, because we were used to Nest City and the prairies and our friends there. But we got settled in school in Fort Scott High School, and we all went to Fort Scott, and I graduated from Fort Scott, not from Nest City High School.
Mm-hmm.
So
did your mother tell you stories of what it was like for her to be a child back in Cross Timbers? Other than before she got married, maybe when she was a child? How far back can you remember about her childhood?
I haven't refreshed my memory on that for quite some time.
And she was born in that home in that picture with Mary Jane and
Albert?
Albert, and there was a picture of the house that he built. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Is that the house that he built?
Amazing.
That was a water pump.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's such an interesting picture. Could you tell us anything you know about that?
There was a smokehouse there also, which fascinated us girls.
Yeah.
And they had a orchard, and we thought that was wonderful to pick our own apple. And Grandmother Jane always dried apples, so the year round we had apples. And the front porch was built so that there was a little roof on top of the porch, not very big, but Grandma would put towels down or papers down, and she would dry the apples for the wintertime.
Yeah. Up
there in the sunshine. Then the smokehouse was there too, and we thought that was wonderful to have a great big piece of ham.
So did they raise pigs there on the property? Or?
No, they had cows, they had milk, they made their own cheese, their own butter, and we kids would go to Grandma's house, and we wanted to take turns churning the milk. Said, watch it make butter. So they had a butter churn this tall, and there was a handle, and you sit there and turn, and finally something yellow appears, and there's the butter. Wow. So I remember that was a lot of fun. And upstairs there are a lot of old pictures on the wall. You know, the beautiful pictures that they made in those days.
Oh,
and
family photographs?
No, they were pictures of beautiful scenes, beautiful people, beautiful women wearing the beautiful clothes of the early 1900s.
Were they were paintings?
No, they were just pictures out of some magazine along the way that Grandma put up on the wall.
Oh, so she liked pretty pictures.
Yeah.
And that's how she decorated the house. It was kind of, she liked pretty things.
They were mostly upstairs.
Yeah.
But now Albert and Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. Yeah.
They had their bedroom downstairs.
Okay, and then all the kids were upstairs.
Yeah, let me see that.
Or something.
I can't remember how many kids there are, but it would be brothers and sisters.
Your mom, I think your mom had 6 sisters and 1 brother.
I forget exactly.
Right.
I think so.
There was Zoni and Susie and Fanny and John.
And
Joseph.
We said Susie. Mother.
Nell.
Fanny. Zona.
Nell.
Yeah, Nell. And John Bybee. I think there's only 1 brother.
And John Bybee.
Joseph
Bybee.
Our grandpa.
Right.
Joseph Bybee.
Right.
1 boy.
Right.
Was he the youngest of the boys? Your mom was the youngest.
Yeah, my mother was the youngest.
Your mother was the youngest.
Joseph Bybee was a sister to Mary Louise McCubbin Yates, I think. Am I wrong?
Well,
it's possible. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit closer.
It's possible. Well.
Yeah.
Opal had some mix-up with the Bybees.
Yeah, that was Mary Ellen's sister.
Yeah. Opal.
Yeah, that way. So in my papers, I've got a 4 or 5 page memo from Vernice Marie McCubbin. What's her last name? Graham.
Vernice
Marie McCubbin Graham.
Vernice Marie McCubbin Graham.
They live in Kansas City, on one of the
And,
suburbs.
and there was an article in the newspaper about,
No, this was something that she wrote. She said, for the grandchildren who did not know our wonderful grandmother and grandfather McCubbin.
oh, how sweet.
And she's got all these things written in there on the pages.
Oh, so we can read that. So we can
And-
take a picture of
Well,
that.
Well, I
hopefully,
think you can take a copy of
About
it.
Albert and Mary Jane
Uh-huh.
oh,
McCubbin.
excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that will
Wow.
make a nice summary.
Yeah.
So,
Now, they were very musical, right? Did
absolutely.
Albert like, let's talk about music, let's talk about food, let's talk about how they built the house.
That I don't know.
Well, I understood he built the house.
He did. He did. He was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
He even built all the caskets for everybody that died around there.
No kidding.
Uh-huh.
Wow, Albert did.
Albert did.
Your grandpa.
Right. Mm-hmm. And he had the
How,
corn.
how did he wind up in Cross Timbers? I mean, that's just, it's a pretty
Well,
remote area of the world.
I think they came from Kentucky.
Kentucky.
But now, Sean would probably be able to
Okay.
answer that better than me.
Uh-huh.
And do you think that we'll get back to the music and the food, but talking about their marriage, was there any thought, any rumor that maybe Mary Jane was part Indian?
Mary Jane.
Albert's wife,
Well,
your grandma?
I have no thought of. Or
Nobody
knowledge
ever
of
said
it.
anything
No.
that maybe
the
that.
only Indian on the family I'm aware of is Julie Birdsong.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Married
Okay.
John Bybee.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only one. But now,
And he met Mary Jane Bybee there in Cross Timbers. You think?
Albert did.
Is that how he fell in love with her? Did they ever tell their love story?
No, I don't have a thing on that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I may find it, time dims things,
Oh, I know.
With what I've still got to go through.
Yeah.
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 Okay, we just changed our scene here a little bit. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Mary Lou's going to tell us a little bit about the musical talent of Albert McCubbin and Mary Jane, and what they did, and how Nell became such a good musician, and yeah.
Yeah, as I was saying, the McCubbins, to me, were very gentle people and liked things nice, good, and all the other good things that we knew as that generation.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go to Grandma McCubbin's house, and Grandpa had 2-foot pedal organs. And it just fascinated us kids to see that he'd sit there and pump that thing and
Wow.
play the music.
Yeah.
And we were just fascinated with that all our lives.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
wonder why we didn't have a pump organ.
Yeah.
But then, as it went on, Mother also inherited the music line. And all her life, living with her, was music. She played the piano, she played the guitar, she crocheted, and she crocheted and
Tatted? Did she tat?
no,
Knitted?
yeah, okay. No, she crocheted all those.
Embroidered?
Now you're talking about your mother, Nell.
Mother
Your mother,
Nell
yeah.
Shimon.
Okay.
So Mother has inherited this musical line.
Mm-hmm.
Did she learn that from Mary Jane too? Did Mary
I
Jane knit?
Don't really know. I don't think.
You don't remember Mary
did.
Jane knitted?
And I don't remember having anything of Mary Jane's.
Uh-huh.
But Mother's, yes. And
Okay.
we had a little house on the south of Ness. One big sort of little living room where the piano was.
Yeah.
And we would put feather beds down on the floor at night. There were 8 of us eventually. And we would sleep there most of the time. We had a big potbelly stove. But anyway, Mother would come and wake us up playing the piano.
Oh, how sweet.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And then on through life she played too, and she ended up having lots of music pupils.
Oh, she was a
When
music
we moved
teacher.
to Fort Scott, she taught music a lot.
So grandfather Albert taught her to play the organ, play the
right,
piano.
and the organ and the piano.
And did the other children learn to play musical instruments too?
Lloyd, my oldest sister, played the piano nicely.
Uh-huh.
I started to learn how to play the piano but it just didn't set with me. I'd rather twirl a baton and go to school in the marching band. That was my thing. But then along comes Nell plays by chord.
Oh.
And Mother wanted to teach me to play the chord and play the guitar and to crochet and knit before she died. And I said, but Mother, I got to do all these things, but I'd like to take the time to do it, but I can't. And I didn't, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, then along comes Ciola. She played the piano beautifully. And Nell, of course, chords.
Yeah.
And Leela went on to be a concert musician. And today she doesn't play the piano anymore, and she just lost interest. But she had students also, so quite a few of us learned music, and I learned enough of it to appreciate music and know the scale. And
Now, the McCubbins that are still alive back there, Uncle Bob and Milo. Now their mom was Cynthia Dunn, and their father was Joseph Delano McCubbin, Nell's brother. Now, did Joseph also play music?
I have
Don't
no
know.
idea about Joseph.
Okay, don't know anything about Joseph.
Grandpa is really the only one there that I really, really, he carried on with the fife. And the pump organ.
Do you remember what songs he liked to play? Any songs that in particular that
they
you
were
remember?
war songs.
War songs
And
from the Civil War.
There's something about taking Nellie home from the ball game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Taking Nellie home from the ball game.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there were some.
That's okay. We'll wait then.
Some of those war songs. What were they? Taking Nellie home from the ball, and the boys come marching home. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to pass, I think.
Was he in the war?
Who?
Albert?
Albert?
No, Albert wasn't. But there was another Delaney McCubbin.
Yeah.
Who?
Albert's father.
I don't know his father or not, but I have the paper in there.
Was he in the Civil War?
There was some goings-on in the Civil War, but I can't relate exactly how it was, except for this one occasion that
It's okay.
talk about music. Oh, war.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There was one McCubbin who joined a military group, and it didn't last very long. 1861, when Kansas became a state, until maybe a year later, when the war was over, he was retired or excused, or however you want to put it. But he. I know what it was. When Mother's first grandson, Michael Spence, pictures went to medical school, but to get in medical school through a military like DAR, some group, he had to have proof that he had relatives that were in the war. Is it the Civil War, or the war between the states, or Revolutionary War? I get them mixed up. But anyway, Mother found this particular paper that qualified him to go to medical school.
Oh,
I'll be darned.
Wonderful.
Wow.
So
I guess it's too late for me.
So to this day, Michael is a doctor in Rio Doso, New Mexico.
Oh, I know where Rio Doso is. That's a pretty place.
Wait a minute. Is it Rio Doso?
Yeah, it's east of Albuquerque. It's real pretty out in there.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Oh.
But anyway, that fits into and that paper's in there too. The chocolate tape.
Oh,
Oh,
we'll
wow.
have to take a picture of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can take it. Take
That'll
the
be
paper.
wonderful history. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, back to the music, because I know that's something that Dad treasured. Dad treasured his guitar music, and he always shared that with us, how much he appreciated the music in the family.
That's exactly right. And Bob McCubbin.
Yeah.
And
Milo.
And Milo, yes. And of course we've been down through my generation, but the rest of Mary Ellen's people, Now I think Sean's wife is musician.
Debbie might be. Yeah.
Is a musician.
Yeah.
So that got that far.
And yeah.
Dennis's wife.
Dennis's wife.
Yeah.
Dennis's wife was a musician.
School teacher and singer. Yeah.
So okay. So Albert built the house. There was a water pump. He was a musician. Were they church goers? Were they?
Yeah, they went all the way to. They walked. They get on the old hack, what they called it, the horse and buggy.
Yeah.
And go to church. And they'd have box suppers, and that was a lot of fun, you know. Bring your own little box supper, and then I don't know if you exchanged it or if you ate your own. But anyway, box suppers were fun.
So now this is just to get to our bearing straight. Now we're talking about their ranch in outside of Cross Timbers, right?
Yeah, the house he built.
So then they would go to church in Cross Timbers.
I think they go to Preston.
Oh, Preston. Okay.
I don't think it's too far.
Oh, okay.
But then while they were there, or on times when they had festivals or special occasions, Mother and everybody who played a guitar would go, and they'd sit under the tree and play the guitar and sing. Mother said she knew 100 songs by heart at one time.
Wow.
And they'd play until they got kind of tired, and they'd go sit down and drink, do something, and then somebody else would come play the guitar for
Oh, how fun.
Yeah. So those were good times for Mother.
Yeah.
And riding in the hack with Grandma and Grandpa.
Arriving in the hack, yeah.
The Chuck Wagon Gang, the music. There's a song about going somewhere in Ma and Pa in the old wagon and going down the road in the old wagon with Ma and Pa sitting on the front seat, and Ma looked so pretty in a little bonnet.
Yeah, that sounds like those times, doesn't it?
And still today, in Preston and Cross Timbers, I think they still have a building where they go on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
And all practice their music.
We saw it in Cross
Timbers. We saw the community hall gathering place in Cross Timbers. It's still there.
So and they were
having a family reunion there when we went there. Yeah.
Playing their music.
It's wonderful for a little town like that to have a place like that, you know, where you can get to know each other and meet, and those that play music, you know, play their music.
The whole town is about half the size of a football field.
Yeah, we saw where Sean was saying how, or Milo was saying how people would tie their horse up to the
hitching
post and bring their goods to sell to, like a farmer's market or something like that. Do you remember that?
No, I'm not aware of it.
At the town square?
I'm not surprised because they did a lot of things together. It was a cooperative little town.
Yeah.
Little place. And still to this day, I've got a picture that Rose Beck sent me of Mother standing on the front porch of a Jordan store in Jordan.
Oh.
Jordan, Missouri. And Mother standing with everybody that was in that little store at that time, and Rose Beck found somebody who had that picture and sent me one that's in there.
Oh my goodness, how funny.
So you remember being inside that house of Mary Jane and Albert, and they had a pump organ in the living room.
And another one, I think, in the living room. There were two of them there somewhere.
Two pump organs.
They had two pump organs.
Yeah.
And then there were a lot of pretty pictures upstairs in the bedrooms of faraway places or just dreamy, beautiful places. And then the kitchen table, you had, was Mary Jane a cook? Did she like, or was she a...
Mary Jane would have biscuits, handmade biscuits ready in the morning when anybody got up and wanted to eat breakfast.
Wow.
And I forget what else we had to eat there, but it was all done early in the morning. The rest of us didn't have to do anything but get up and eat it. And so I remember her biscuits. I can still see her in that big biscuit bowl, bread bowl.
Yeah.
You know, needing that biscuit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then baked it in the wood burning stove.
Oh my.
You know, old wood burning stove.
Wow.
And going out the front door of that living room was a chest of drawers or a little table or something.
Yeah.
And on that table was a gorgeous European dish, antique, which Mother said stayed there all her life.
Wow.
I forget who has it today now that the house is gone, but one of the girls has it, Fanny or something, has it there. And then I've got a picture of it in there.
Oh, I'd like to see a picture.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
And also, Grandfather McCubbin, you know, was a carpenter. I told you he made all the caskets for the people who needed them. And also, I have a picture of a kitchen cabinet, you know, with the metal thing where you put the biscuits in.
Yeah.
I got 2 pictures in there of the cabinet that he built.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
It is unbelievable.
Albert and Mary Jane's house, and we've talked about the music, and we've talked about the
music and the
kitchen,
house and the plate and the breakfast biscuit bowl.
See, I think my dad said she had good strawberry jam. Do you remember that there was strawberry jam on the table?
I'm sure she did, and I'm sure she had apple pies year-round with her dried apples.
So she had an orchard?
Yes, a big one, too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And we kids would love to go out there and climb. I don't want my hands to show.
Okay. Okay, me either.
And pick some of the fruit. And Grandma said we get whatever we wanted. You know, not everything's ripe and ready to eat right now, but whatever you just ask me about it.
So there were apples and
pears and peaches and maybe plums and strawberries. I don't remember strawberries, but then I may not have been there at that time.
Was there a creek on the property? Was there any water on it?
Yes, there was. The house laid on a flat land, and then below that would be a pasture where the cows were, and there'd be a creek there. And then you had an incline that you went up to the little country road that would go where you wanted to go. So you had to almost ford the water to get up there. But Mother said one time they had to walk to school, and they come back home through the pasture. And she said one time the old bull wanted to get after them, and they just really hightailed it across that field.
So they had cows.
Cows, yes.
And they had an orchard, and they had a creek.
Yeah, and a little incline of a road.
A little incline of a road.
And the road looked down on the property and the home. And I don't remember any of the other things. I remember.
How old were you? You think when you played there at Grandma's house?
Now, Daddy died in '38, and we made 2 or 3 trips down to Grandmother's.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be a good time, maybe 38. He was sick, so 37, 36, 35. It had to be the early 30s.
The early 30s.
Whatever happened to that house? It's no longer standing, correct?
Torn down.
Torn down.
And I have a picture in there of, I believe it was, Mother said it's the first house she lived in. So I've got a picture of that in there too. Okay.
Did you ever go down to where our father Chester was born?
Which is where?
Well, down in the holler, I guess.
And within yelling distance?
I think so.
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. I think Albert owned the land and gave it to his son Joseph to live on or something like that, and they built a little cabin down in there, and Joseph and Cynthia had all of their children in that little cabin down there on the creek.
Yeah, well, you know, in those days too, you know, parents, if they had something, they always made sure that their children were secure.
Yeah.
But Mother said that she really ran fast. She didn't know she could run so fast. Away from that bull.
How funny. Yeah.
And she said sometimes they take their shoes off and come back down the road, you know, and come across the stream. So they had quite a different way to live and go to school than we have today for buses.
Yeah.
But let's see, what's question?
Well, let's see.
Your script there, Janis?
Sounds like a beautiful little place to live, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I guess. See, I was going down the question. Let's see. We got the earliest memories of your childhood, and then you told us about Joseph Delano McCubbin, which was your grandfather, and your great-grandfather, and they sang the war songs. You remembered
Home and Nellie Gray.
Home and Nellie Gray.
And a lot of them were in that big ledger that I sent to Bob McCubbin.
The ledger, yeah, you got the music,
okay.
And they went to
And
church?
not the music, just the words.
The words. How sweet. Okay, and then I guess one of the questions, because we're the children of Joseph and Cynthia Dunn, which would have been your mom's only brother. I guess he was kind of a rebel rouser, is what we heard.
There were some.
He was an alcoholic, right?
There were some of those around too. And alcoholic was probably made at home too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He drank, and during, I don't know, I heard he did some bootlegging or something. Is that right?
I wouldn't be surprised. It was legal in those days.
It was legal to, yeah. And that's sort of what happened to their family down in Cross Timbers.
That happened.
Or do you remember anything about?
Joseph Delaney McCubbin, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Never heard.
6 sweet sisters and then one boy that just went awry, huh? He had the 6 sisters, Nellie and Nell and...
Oh, you're talking about my sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your mom's sisters.
Oh, mother's sisters, Zona and Fanny and those.
Yeah.
I used to love to go to Uncle Zona's house.
Yeah.
And her husband, I know him only by the name of Uncle Hokey.
Oh.
Hokey.
Uncle Hokey.
Huh.
I don't know what name he had.
Yeah.
It may be on some legal paper somewhere.
Yeah.
But they had a little what do you call those little places in the water that the water just comes up and
Spring. An actual
springs. Thank you. They had a nice spring up the hill, and we loved to go up there and just walk around, and we see some of the crawdads, and we'd wonder how the water could be clean. Look at those things in it.
Yeah.
But we'd get to go up and get a bucket of water and bring it down to Aunt Zona.
Okay.
Dad had fond memories. Chester had fond memories of Aunt Zona. He called her.
Zona and Uncle Hokey.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We
We were in their house 2 summers ago.
We went
Really?
by their
Yeah, we went to Aunt Zoni's house.
Then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I slept in that house when I was a little boy.
Yeah, we visited when we were little.
I slept in Aunt Zoni's house when I was a little boy.
She made us biscuits one day.
Everybody made biscuits.
Everybody
And
Yeah.
I have never made a biscuit in my life. And I have never made something else.
Cornbread?
Senior moment.
Yeah.
A pie crust.
Oh,
Pie crust.
oh, pie crust.
Yeah.
But then Aunt Susan, don't have too many stories about her.
We saw where her little cabin was that she built. We saw that.
And
It was kind of on the back of Elbert's land, as I recall.
I don't know where it was. I know we walked up the road to it.
Uh-huh.
And Edwin and Pauline.
Uh-huh.
And then Aunt Fanny. We love to go to Aunt Fanny's too. I think music was with them. They were active in music. Did Elmer belong to Aunt Fanny or Aunt Zona or Aunt Ceola? Elmer?
He was one of the husbands to one of the sisters, huh?
I've got that in there too.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we'll find that.
In the papers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have most of the people all sorted out in a family tree. We
Yeah.
just don't know anything about the people.
We don't know
We have their
anything
names
about
and the day
them.
they were born and the day they were died, but that's all we know. We don't know anything else.
We don't
you
know
so-
anything. We
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we were interested in, you were real helpful about Grandpa Joseph and Mary Jane Bybee.
Mhm.
And then I guess we were just sort of interested in their boy, Joseph.
Who was our grandpa.
Which would have been our grandpa, would be Chester's dad.
Uh-huh.
Because, you know, he was left an orphan when he was so young.
Chester was?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
He was
Oh.
only 10 years old. And
Yeah.
Mary Ellen raised him. Mary Ellen and
And
Bert
Opal.
and Elvin, I guess, and Opal, I guess, raised
Yeah, I bet they did.
the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no idea what Cynthia and Joseph were like. I don't know if they were young party kids or
Good
what
kid.
took them or what? But I thought maybe somebody would know in the family. We're just trying to.
Of Chester's family.
Chester's dad and mom.
Chester.
Bob. It'd be Uncle Bob.
Earl, Elvin, Bob, Milo,
Elvin. Their
Mary
parents.
Ellen,
Be Bob's parents. Be
LG. They had LG.
Sean's grandparents.
Sean's grandparents. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a hard time putting it in place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, now you never really lived in Cross Timbers proper.
No, nor Preston.
Nor Preston.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Mother and father were married in Jordan.
Yeah.
And mother's very nice, very good friend, Ollie Cox.
Okay.
And
That name sounds familiar.
and Mrs. Ollie Cox wanted my mother to come to Jordan and help her in the house and just help her. And Mary Jane said she could go.
Okay.
So mother went over there. I guess it was 2 years she stayed there before Harry entered the scene.
Okay.
And entered it at Jordan. And in one of my letters from mother says, now Harry's coming into town. Mother, please have the house in order for me. But anyway, they were married at Ollie Cox's home in Jordan.
Okay. Okay.
So now, do you think did the McCubbins and the Bibies ever say what country they're from? Were they Scottish or Scotch, Irish? Do you remember what they were?
On my mother's side of the family, they always said they were Scotch-Irish.
Scotch-Irish, that's what Dad said too.
Yeah.
Scotch-Irish.
Scotch-Irish.
And as far as I know, her parents were immigrants and had to come from Scotland or Scotch-Irish.
Ireland, yeah.
Ireland.
Scotland or Ireland, yeah.
So you're talking about Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Mary Jane.
Yeah, but her mother, your mother's mother, Nell's mother,
Nell's mother.
said that her parents came from Scotland or Ireland. Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
that's all I know. You're asking me a lot of things.
Oh, we're scattered. I know.
Yeah,
We've
no,
got
I
so
know.
many
That's
things.
all right. That's all right. That makes me motor mouth.
No, we want somebody to tell us the story.
Yeah.
Well, maybe anything that Uncle Bob's children would like to know. I guess you don't.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you some questions,
Okay.
and then you can just fire away.
Okay. I didn't know I knew so much. Or remembered so much.
Wait till you see. That's the key thing. Is the more you think, the more you recall. It kind of grows.
Got a crooked lampshade over there. Don't leave it over there.
Okay, you ready, Janis?
Yeah.
Okay. We're here in Mary Lou's front living room, and she's going to tell me a little bit about her background of her own personal life. She's told us already about the McCubbin family history, but we want to know more about her. And we thought maybe a good starting point would be she could tell us where she went to high school and what she did after high school.
You got
Okay, so go ahead.
You got 2 days?
Got 2 days.
Well, Mary Lou, like I said, moved from Ness City, Kansas to Fort Scott, Kansas, because Mother wanted to be closer to the Missouri, her family in Missouri, but still stay with the Kansas school system. So we moved to Fort Scott, and I went to school there, and I there was still a baton twirler in the marching band, and did that for 2 years that I was in Fort Scott school system. And we had little red, nice little band uniforms, and I was so poor when I finally went to the school that I'm going to tell you about, I wore that uniform. That's all I had to wear.
Oh, wow.
Just about. Anyway, I never did get my certificate at Fort Scott, Kansas, because a friend of Mother's, Mother was talking to, saw an ad. Brad Fairways was looking for some employees. And I just presumed, a flight hostess. So anyway, somehow on the bus, I got to Kansas City, Kansas, Missouri. To the 21st floor of the Power and Light Building, to the Brandon Fairways School. And that's where I spent what was it? 8 months, 9 months, something like that, and graduated. And I learned Morse code.
Morse code.
What's your name?
Tom.
Da 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 da. That's Tom.
Oh, very good.
Janis. Da 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 da. And what? Now I lost where I am.
You know, that's what Dad did in World War II. He
was a radio operator.
He was a radio operator.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Oh, he and I could talk then.
Oh, he did Morse code. That's right. He knew Morse code.
And I had a machine called a bug. It was about this long, this little case, and it was not a da 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 like the railroads used. You know, da 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 da. It was a bug. Went real fast. And I could do 18, 20 words a minute.
Oh, wow.
Maybe even more.
Wow.
Because we had to have pass 18 words a minute in school in order to be qualified to go out on the line. I did it fine.
Wow.
So several of us were hired by Braniff Airways, and then I was transferred to Dallas, Texas, to Love Field area. There I took Braniff Airways training and found out I was going to be a radio operator, not a flight hostess.
Oh,
wow.
I was a little shocked about that, a radio operator. What is that? You know, how does that work? Well, come to find out, you had to know what was K. This line was a K, and this one was E, and this was yellow, and this was red. And I just about dropped out of school. But I weathered it through and graduated, and of course I went to Dallas for training. And I lived with a family in Kansas City who loaned me their attic room. And I helped her clean house and take care of things and pay. So I stayed there until I got a station in Oklahoma City.
Oh, wow.
And I transferred.
Now, this was during the war.
War II. This was in 1942,
42, 43.
And I graduated in 42 and went straight to radio and television school in Kansas City, Missouri. And then now I find myself in Oklahoma City.
Wow.
Someplace I'd never been, you know, outside of the prairies.
Right.
Fort Scott. So I helped this lady until I was able to get pay from Braniff Airways. I don't remember what my salary was, but I'm sure it was like $400 or $500 a month. But I go into an apartment in Kansas City and stayed there. And I had an apartment on down the road, and I could walk to work, and I could take off my shoes and my hose and walk barefooted because they were rationed, and I couldn't afford any more.
Oh, yeah.
So I did that. So in this little home, I enjoyed it. It was comfortable, and I walked to school to Braniff, and I was enjoying what I was doing, but it was really a challenge. Because we had all this big radio rig and all these knobs and all these things going on. And my office was had a door that led everybody straight to the restaurant. And Tom Mix stopped there one day.
Cowboy.
Tom Mix stopped there one day and looked in, and he said, "What's a little girl like you doing in there with all that stuff?" And I said, "Well, I've learned how to use it." He said, "Well, congratulations, you know. How old are you?" I said, I'm 20, maybe 19. He said, "That's great. So anyway, well, congratulations and keep up the good work."
Wow.
So he went on to eat. So then somebody else came by. Joan Crawford came by.
No kidding.
Wearing a fur.
Wow.
And she wanted somebody to hold her fur while she went to eat. So I got to hold her fur.
Oh my goodness. She's one of my wife's favorite movie stars still to this day. She loves old Joan Crawford movies.
And there was somebody else that came along too that impressed me. I'm trying to think. The cowboy, not Roy Rogers, but
Gene Autry, or?
Yeah, Gene Autry.
Gene Autry.
He came by too, and wondered what I was doing there. And he said, "Oh, are you going to be guiding my airplane out here?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to help." So And I saw one accident on the landing field while I was there, but nothing serious. And the field at
Dallas?
At Houston.
Houston.
No, Oklahoma City.
Oh,
Oklahoma
okay.
City. Was stationed close to the field. The field worked with the airlines for the landing field as well as the military.
Oh,
There. So I had a good time in Oak City, and some of us, this is something else that happened down the line. I don't remember what else happened, but where were we? In Oak City? Okay.
Oak Harbor, Oak City.
Oak City. We girls went to, after we'd get off at from the weather department, and my turn would terminate. It was 8 to 5, 5 to 12, and 12 to 7, I think it was. With it. So I worked those. You worked 2 weeks and then changed it.
Wow.
So the girl that worked up in the tower, weather department, said, Mary Louise, she had a little car. I didn't have a car. She said, let's go down to Chicken Annie's and get some biscuits and honey. I said, okay, if you drive down. She said, oh, sure. So we drove down to a little restaurant across from the Biltmore Hotel, which has since been lowered, and went in and sat looking a certain way, and started, ordered, and we were just minding our own business. And then in came 3 military men from the field, looked right at us all the time. And we looked right at them all the time. We couldn't avoid it. One of them happened to be Bill Cooper.
Bill Cooper, I've heard that name before. That becomes a more important person, right?
He was my man.
Okay.
But I didn't know him then. But anyway, they got up and left, and then we got up and left. We figured they were gone. So we got up and left and went outside, and there they stood, waiting for us. So they they started saying, hey, hi. And we said, okay, hi. And went to Liz's car to get in. He said, no, don't leave. And we said, well, we got to get going. So we got in the car and turned around to leave. And they said, hey, please come back. So Liz said, shall we? And I said, yeah, let's make a U-turn and go back. So we made a U-turn and went back. Well, they were so tickled. They crawled in the car with us. His doc was with him, and he and his doctor were the two that were together. So Bill got in, and I sat in his lap, and Doc sat between us because it was only one little car. So I think we parked and went and had a drink somewhere, and to meet each other, know who we are, and where we came from, who, where, what, when, where, what, why.
All that.
So we exchanged names, addresses, phone numbers, and I guess age and social security numbers, and I didn't have a driver's license to give him. Anyway, they went on back to Oak City where they were stationed. And, no, they went back to Nebraska. They were stationed in Nebraska. At, I forget the name of the field there, but it's on that list. No, it isn't, because this is before marriage. So, anyway, it wasn't too long until I had a letter from Bill, and how nice it was to meet you, Mary Lou, and I'd like to know you better, and da-da-da-da-da. So he said, well, wasn't too long until he said, well, I'm on an ROR, can I come to Oak City and see you? I'm getting Oak City and Houston mixed up, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Oak City and visit you. And he said, make me reservations at the Biltmores, which I did. And so he came and visited with me. He was there, I think, 2 or 3 days. Met my station manager and all the people there, and came and watched me run the bug. Talked to Chicago, all the way from Chicago to Brownsville.
Wow.
And my name was GK on the code. Da-da did, da-da-da. Da-da-da did it? Mary Lou, is that you?
Oh, cute.
And
that's great.
he said when he came to visit, and so he'd just stay with me to eat because I worked all the time, and then we'd go eat. I don't know. I guess we took a taxi. I don't know how we got around. I remember that. But anyway, he went on back to Alliance, Nebraska. And the postmaster says, Mary Lou said, I don't want to encourage anything, but he says, that man's got a head on his shoulders. And I said, well, that impresses me. So it wasn't too much long. I got letters, and I got a little gift of a bracelet, which was a rose gold and yellow gold, which was typical of that part of the country in your rose gold. And I have since sent it to my granddaughter. And then he said he wanted to come again. So we arranged that he come and visit, and like we did, and eat and that sort of thing. So he said, well, Mary Lou, I'll tell you what, with our letters going back and forth, and I knowing you better, he said, I may get shipped out, but I want you to wait for me. And here's a ring. Wear it for me, please. But if you meet somebody that's here and now, and you like, and he's good with you, and will be a good husband, I will say okay. And I will do the same. I will date, and you date. But still, you always knew he was there.
Yeah.
So came September the 24th, he was shot down over Holland.
He was shot down.
Shot down.
September 24th, 19...
had to be 40, latter 43.
43, later 43.
And he was in a POW camp up at Barth, Germany, on the what river?
You got me.
On the
Rhine.
Rhine.
No.
No.
It'll come. I'm 85. I can do that. I can have senior moments.
It's excusable.
Get a map.
On Baltic Sea.
Baltic Sea. Okay.
I got it. So we could write. He has so many letters a month that he could write, and I've got them all in there in a box.
Oh wow!
And I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
They'll make 3 albums.
Yeah.
Oh, they belong in the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
You know, the Smithsonian is collecting those stories.
Yes, they are.
You can see the letters that were censored. And
by the government.
Yeah.
Wow.
By whoever.
By the German government.
By the Germans. Or I don't know whether the American military had a part in it or not, but I'm sure they did. So we corresponded a little bit that way, and came May of 45. The Russians, I mean, the war was coming to a close. Hitler was taken care of, and the German history was forming itself, and the war was over. Coming down the road leading to the POW camps, which, by the way, the camp next to Bill's, he was in Stockliffe 1. Over in Stockliffe 2 was his brother Stanley, who had been there 2 years.
Oh, wow.
A mother who had 3 boys. They were all pilots.
Oh, wow.
All in the war. A mother.
Amazing.
And they all got home, but...
wow.
Well, no, they all got home. No, yeah, they all got home. Stanley and Bob and Bill all got home. Went back to Santa Ana.
Wow.
But then Bill made arrangements to come to Houston to see me. That was the first thing he was going to do. He didn't have a car. It was in 1945. We're at 45 now. The war's over. And Stanley went to Idaho and married his little Mormon girlfriend. And Bob Cooper sort of wandered around a little bit. He went on in the Army to other places. He went to Iwo Jima, and because the Cooper boys loved to sing. And they'd all get together, and they would have the best singing. Even the 2 sisters, Joyce, there were 5 boys and 2 girls, or 4 boys and 2 girls and 3 boys, or something like that. No, 4 boys. No, 5 boys I can think of. They liked to sing. So when Bob Cooper went to Iwo Jima, or Okinawa, to do things there that he needed to do going back into service, and he couldn't get rid of it. Couldn't release singing, so he organized a group, and they called themselves Joe Commode and the Four Flushes. And they all sang and sang, got the just sang their hearts out. Have you ever heard such a?
That's pretty good.
That's the Cooper boys.
Oh,
That's
boy.
a bunch of young men.
Yeah, yeah. How funny.
So
Wow.
anyway, Bill got to Houston, and he had to buy a car. So we had an old Buick. You know, this was back in '44 or something like that. Didn't have any air conditioning.
Yeah.
But he was able to buy something that hooked to the window on the rider's side, put water in it, and it's got wind going through
Oh
it.
yeah, I remember those things. Yes, I remember those. Yeah, I forget what they call them, but
We went down. Oh, he came to Houston with that.
yeah.
And at Houston, of course, he met all my friends and all my group, my Brandif group. And Bill said at that time, he said, Mary Lou, he says, if you don't come and let me marry you right now, I'm going to rope you and tie you up and take you. I said, well, I kind of like you too.
You too.
So I got out the engagement ring that he
Wow.
got me, and we made arrangements at the chapel there at we're in Houston, the chapel, Ellington Field. We made arrangements to be married there, and of course all my Brandif girls, one of them made the cake, somebody else got pictures, and everybody helped me get married. I flew my mother and one sister from Fort Scott, Kansas, Kansas City, to Houston to be at my wedding. And then, of course, I paid for it because I was a Brandif employee.
Yeah.
And then flew them back home.
Oh, how nice. Yeah.
So I have those pictures.
Wow.
So I think they're down there on the floor in the buffet. But anyway, we went down famous Route 66 in Albuquerque, where Bill had friends, and on through the desert, which I had never seen. It was all new to me, a little country girl come to town.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went through Arizona, the different scenery, the different geographic, what I want to say, the
rock formations.
yeah,
Table rocks and all that. Yeah.
There we are.
Oh yeah.
One friend made this, and then two others stood up with us, and
Yeah.
Pretty.
oh,
Sweet.
that's good.
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
So anyway, went on to Santa Ana, and there I met his family. And
That's where he was from, Santa Ana.
Santa Ana, California. They went there from Oklahoma. They were some of the Okies who went west.
The Steinbeck era, the Dust Bowl era.
Those were the next words. With the car, the mattress and everything hung to the side of it, leaving
Oh wow.
the Dust Bowl and going to California to hunt gold.
Yeah.
And as long as I was around those Cooper kids, all they could say, you know, we're so afraid we lose that mattress off of that car.
Yeah.
They were big jokers, and they are today too. Glenn is the last of the Coopers, and there were 6 or 7 of them too. And he's at Semi Valley in California.
So yeah, I know where that is. Yeah.
He lives there now.
So east of Santa Barbara, kind of Ventura, up in there.
Yeah, he's told me that, but
north of Hollywood.
I forgot to remember that.
Yeah. I know how it goes.
Anyway, he has just lost his wife, and he was so sad. And he sent one little note on email to my son, who has the computer or anything about a computer, and it went on to say, well, you know, the house is clean and the yard looks pretty good, and maybe things are looking up for me. And there was some more to it, but I don't know that.
Wow.
But anyway, he's the last of them, and. So then, from Santa Ana, California, our first station was at Santa Monica? Yeah, there's Santa Monica.
Now, when you say station, Are you talking about you're still in the military, even though the war is over?
Oh yeah, he's still in the
So
military.
he's a career man. He's not just a 4-year enlistee.
Right, he is a career man. And
so what was his title?
Title? Well, when he
office or whatever you call
well,
it.
he was in
His
the
last rank.
Army Reserve later on through life, you know, after they changed that system. And so he remained. And the nice thing about it, his first Christmas home from POW camp, Congress, if you can believe Congress doing something good for the military, they okayed all the POWs that were due a promotion to promote themselves. To whatever promotion they had coming next. Whatever was coming next.
Oh, okay.
So he went from major being shot down to lieutenant colonel, his last of his career years. And when he retired, he authorization to promote himself to full colonel.
Wow, okay.
Can you imagine Congress doing something like that these days for our military?
Probably not, no.
So
they give you a sign, we'll beg for food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel so sorry for him.
Yeah.
But where did I leave off to interject that story?
Why don't you stop for a minute, Janis?
Go to a rehabilitation station in Santa Monica, California.
Okay.
So
are you on now, Janis? Okay. You're on now.
Okay. So our first station was home. They gave him 30 days duty at home. And from Santa Ana, California, we went to a rehabilitation station in Santa Monica, California. And from Santa Monica, we went to Enid, Oklahoma.
Amesville.
Enid, Oklahoma. And nothing spectacular there, except, well, we were already married, except we had one room and a little table, and we had a hot plate for a stove, and I even cooked squirrel on the
Whoa!
Wow!
So from Enid, we went to Austin, Texas, and in Austin, we had a nice home there that we rented from Azealia Kramer, whose husband was a poet and a writer, and he said that, and she says that her daughter has to keep pretty quiet all the time because he needs lots of thinking time. So at Enid we had so anyway, we were there from about the 30th. Well, we left Houston on the 30th of June of '45 and went to Enid, Oklahoma, and was there during '45. And from there we went to Bergstrom Air Force Base, Austin, Texas. And the big event there was that our daughter, Patty Sue Cooper, was born at Seton Hospital May the 24th, 1946. And somebody I'm writing to, and I don't remember who it is, also was born at Seton Hospital in Austin, Texas. I got it somewhere. And from Austin, we went to McCord, Tacoma.
Wow.
And we were there from 47 to 48, not too long. But at McCord in Tacoma, I don't remember anything extra special about Tacoma, except that Bill hadn't mowed the grass, and I went out and took his picture of him pushing the push mower. And he said, "What'd you do that for?" I said, "Well, I just wanted to." So now I've got the picture. So from McCord we went to Tachikawa, Japan.
Okay.
And that was from 48 to 50. And 40 to 50, Tachikawa. Here, our son, our second child, was born at across the railroad tracks, another part of the military setup called FEMCOM, and that's where the hospital was. So my husband wrote a note to my mother saying that I know you want to know that Ron's born, and he weighed 10 pounds and 9 ounces. I weighed 118 pounds. And he was thoughtful enough to do that. But Bill and I always got along real good. I didn't ever impose on anything, and I'm not like some of the wives I met, you know, who when I was working for the public considered, well, what company goes for? But the woman always made the decisions whether to buy a vacuum cleaner or a refrigerator or curtains or carpet cleaner. The man always made the decisions.